Tonight, I want to share a very small practice with you. So small, in fact, that if I said it too quickly, you might think there is nothing there. A piece of paper, a few words, folded gently, placed inside your wallet, carried for 3 days. That is all. And yet, sometimes the smallest things are the ones that reach the deepest places in a person. In the old Jewish way, a written word was never treated lightly. A word was not just ink, it was intention, it was memory, it was direction. It was a seed placed into the world. And when a person writes a blessing with their own hand, folds it with care, and places it inside the place where their money rests, something quiet begins to happen. Not outside first, inside. The paper does not pull money from the air. The folding does not force heaven to open. The wallet does not become a magical object. No, that is not what this is. This is a practice of return, a way of bringing your heart back from fear, a way of letting your hands remember that they were not created only to hold tightly, but also to give, to receive, and to bless. Because sometimes, my friend, what blocks a person is not only the amount of money they have. Sometimes it is the story they carry every time they touch money. And tonight, we are going to speak about that story. Stay with me, because this little paper, this quiet blessing inside your wallet, may become something more than a note. It may become a witness to the kind of person you are choosing to become in your relationship with Parnassa, with provision, with fear, and with trust. But before we speak about the practice, let us sit for a moment with the heart. Because the heart is where all real teaching begins. Maybe you came here tonight because you are tired. Not the kind of tired that a good night of sleep can fix. A deeper tired. The tiredness of trying and still feeling behind. The tiredness of watching money come in and then leave before you can even feel safe with it. The tiredness of opening your wallet and feeling that little tightening in the chest. The rent, the bills, the debt, the groceries. The unexpected expense that always seems to arrive at the worst time. And maybe you do not talk about it much. Maybe you smile when people ask how things are going. Maybe you say, "I'm fine." But inside, there is a quiet worry that follows you through the day. It sits beside you when you work. It comes with you when you shop. It wakes up with you at night. You calculate. You recalculate. You tell yourself not to panic, but the mind keeps moving. And maybe what hurts most is not just the lack of money. Maybe it is the feeling that provision is always standing just beyond your reach, as if other people know how to live with ease, but you were never taught the way. As if peace with money belongs to someone else. As if you are always waiting for the next problem to arrive. Listen to me carefully. You are not cursed. You are not forgotten. You are not built only for struggle. And your financial pressure is not proof that you are less worthy of blessing. Life can be difficult. Money can be heavy. Responsibility can weigh on a person until even prayer feels tired. So we do not begin with shame. We begin with compassion. Because a frightened heart does not need to be attacked. It needs to be brought home. In Jewish wisdom, there is a word we return to when we speak about livelihood, sustenance, and the flow that supports a life. Parnassa. Parnassa is more than money. It is the work that feeds your home. It is the strength to keep going. It is the opportunity that arrives at the right time. It is the wisdom to use what you already have. It is the help you did not expect. It is the calm that allows you to make a good decision instead of a fearful one. It is the flow of provision that sustains a person day by day. But Parnassa is not only about what comes into your hand. It is also about the kind of vessel you become. Are your hands open? Is your heart steady? Are you giving from what you have, even a little? Are you caring for what comes to you? Are you speaking life over your provision? Or are you speaking fear every time you open your wallet? Because many people carry curses in their mouth without realizing it. I am always broke. Money never stays with me. I will never get ahead. Nothing works for me. I am running out. Maybe those words come from pain. Maybe they feel true in the moment. But words are not harmless. Words shape the room inside us. Say a thing long enough, and the heart begins to live there. This is why written words matter. In Jewish life, written words have always carried weight. The Torah is written. The mezuzah on the doorpost carries written words inside it. A ketubah, a marriage covenant, is written. Names, blessings, prayers, memories, written and preserved. Why? Because a written word is a thought that has come down into the world. A thought can pass through the mind and disappear. But when you write something, you are choosing it. You are slowing down. You are saying, this is what I mean. This is what I want to carry. This is the truth I am placing before my eyes. And when that written blessing is placed inside your wallet, it begins to live beside your Parnassa, not above it, not separate from it, beside it. So every time you open the wallet, you see more than a card, more than a bill, more than a receipt. You see a sentence, a reminder, a quiet voice. And in the moment when fear tries to speak, that paper speaks too. It says, do not forget who you are. It says, do not let lack write your whole story. It says, open your hand, steady your heart, walk with wisdom. The blessing does not work on the money, it works on you. And that, my friend, is where many changes begin. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman named Rachel. Rachel was a teacher, a good teacher. The kind of teacher who remembered which child was quiet because something was wrong at home. The kind who kept extra pencils in her drawer. The kind who gave encouragement so naturally that people assumed she had plenty of it. But inside, Rachel was tired. Teaching was her calling, but it did not always pay enough to give her peace. Every month she stretched. Every month she planned carefully. Every month she arrived at the last few days hoping nothing else would happen. She was not wasteful. She was not careless. She did not live beyond her means. But there was never much room. No room for surprise. No room for rest. No room for feeling safe. And over time, that constant almost enough became the background music of her life. She stopped talking about money. When friends mentioned vacations, repairs, savings, future plans, she smiled and changed the subject. She did not want pity. She did not want advice. She did not want to explain the private ache of being responsible and still afraid. One Friday evening, Rachel went to Shabbat dinner at the home of an older colleague named Miriam. Miriam had taught for many years. She had a calmness about her that Rachel had always noticed. Not the calmness of someone whose life had been easy. No, it was deeper than that. It was the calmness of someone who had wrestled with life and had not become bitter. Her home was warm. Candles on the table, bread covered gently, books on a shelf, a small Tzedakah box near the window. After dinner, while others were talking in the next room, Rachel found herself in the kitchen with Miriam. They were washing a few cups, drying plates, moving slowly in that peaceful way people move after a Shabbat meal. And then, without planning it, Rachel spoke. At first, only a little. Then more. Then the truth came. She spoke about the money, about waking at 4 in the morning, about the calculations that would not stop, about the feeling that she was always almost okay, but never really okay, about feeling ashamed because she worked so hard and still carried fear like a stone in her chest. Miriam did not interrupt her. She did not say, "Don't worry." She did not say, "Everything happens for a reason." She did not give quick comfort. She listened, and sometimes listening is the first mercy. When Rachel finished, Miriam dried her hands, looked at her with kindness, and said, "Can I show you something?" She left the kitchen for a moment and returned with a small folded piece of paper. She placed it on the table between them. Rachel looked at it. Miriam said, "Every few months, when I feel fear beginning to sit too close to my wallet, I write a blessing. I fold it. I place it in my wallet for 3 days. Rachel was quiet. Miriam smiled gently. Not to make money appear. Not to force anything. I do it because I need to remember what I believe before fear tells me what to believe. Rachel touched the edge of the paper. What does it say? Miriam unfolded it slowly. The words were simple. I am held. I am not without. Blessing flows through me and does not stop at me. Rachel read the words once, then again. They were not dramatic, but something about them felt steady. Miriam said, When those words sit beside my money, I see them every time I open my wallet, and each time they ask me a question. Am I living from fear, or am I living from trust? Am I only trying to hold, or am I also willing to give? Am I treating provision with gratitude, or with panic? That night, Rachel went home with those words still in her mind. Her apartment was quiet. She sat at her kitchen table with a small piece of paper and a pen. For a long time she did not write. She did not know what blessing she believed. She only knew the fear. So she asked herself, What is the lie I keep believing? The answer came quickly. I am running out. Then she asked, What truth do I want to carry instead? Slowly she wrote, I am not running out. There is enough for this step. I give freely and receive freely. She looked at the words. They felt almost too simple, but they were honest. She folded the paper once, then again, then a third time. With each fold she whispered a word, enough, open, blessed. Then she placed the folded paper in the front pocket of her wallet, where she would see it easily. The next day she opened her wallet 6 times. Each time she saw the paper. Nothing dramatic happened, no sudden money, no miracle envelope, no problem solved in one day. But each time she saw it, there was a small pause, a breath, a little space between fear and reaction. And sometimes, my friend, that little space is where freedom begins. On the second day, Rachel noticed something else. She was making decisions differently. Not perfectly, just differently. She did not buy something out of anxiety. She waited. She asked, Do I need this, or am I trying to soothe myself? Later, she gave a small donation she had been postponing for weeks. It was not much, but when she gave it, she felt something in her hand loosen. She realized she had been living as if she had nothing to give. But that was not true. She had something. A little. And a little given with sincerity can remind the soul that it is still alive. On the third day, after school, a parent stopped Rachel in the hallway. It began as an ordinary conversation, then it turned. The parent worked in educational consulting, a field Rachel had thought about quietly for years but never pursued. They spoke for 20 minutes. The parent mentioned a small opportunity, not a promise, not a guarantee, but an opening, a door. Rachel did not say the paper caused it. That would not be honest. But she did say this. For 3 days, that paper reminded me to stand like a woman who was not finished. And when a door opened, I was awake enough to see it. That is the teaching. Not magic. Awakening. Not control. Alignment. Not a shortcut. A return. Now let us look at the 3 keys of this practice. The first key is writing. You must write the blessing, not only think it. There is a difference. A thought moves quickly. It comes, it goes, it changes shape. Fear can interrupt it. Noise can drown it. But writing slows the soul down. Writing makes you choose. This word, not that word. This truth, not that lie. This blessing, not that fear. When you write a blessing by hand, you take something invisible and give it a body. You make your intention touchable. You give your heart a sentence it can come back to. And the old teachers understood this well. Words that are written can be carried. Words that are carried can be remembered. Words that are remembered can reshape a life slowly, one choice at a time. So do not rush the writing. Let it be sincere. It does not need to sound fancy. It does not need to sound like a prayer book. It needs to sound like truth. The second key is placement. The blessing must live where the fear usually speaks. That is why it goes in the wallet, not in a drawer, not on a wall you never look at, not hidden in a book, in the wallet. Because the wallet is where your relationship with provision becomes physical. You open it when you spend. You open it when you give. You open it when you count. You open it when you hesitate. You open it when you feel generous. You open it when you feel afraid. So the blessing belongs there, in that place of decision. It sits beside the card, beside the bill, beside the coin, beside the receipt. And it whispers, remember. Remember that you are more than the balance. Remember that money is a tool, not your master. Remember that your hands were made to receive and to give. Remember that fear is loud, but it is not always wise. In Jewish life, placement matters. The mezuzah is on the doorpost because that is where we enter and leave. The candle is placed where its light can be seen. The challah is placed on the table where the family gathers. And the blessing goes in the wallet because that is where the heart often trembles. The third key is 3 days. 3 days is enough time for a pattern to begin. Not to complete all healing, not to transform a life overnight, but to begin. 3 days of opening the wallet and seeing the same words. 3 days of letting the blessing interrupt fear. 3 days of giving even a small amount. 3 days of asking, am I living from lack or from trust? In Jewish memory, 3 carries weight. It can represent establishment, confirmation, a thing becoming firm. And after 3 days, you do something important. You renew. You do not let the paper become just another object. You take it out, you read it. You ask, is this still the blessing I need to carry? Maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe the words need to change because you have changed. Then you write again. Fresh paper, fresh ink, fresh intention. Because intention is alive, and living things must be tended. Now I will give you the practice. Choose a quiet moment. Evening is good. Not because evening has magic, but because the world becomes softer at night. The noise lowers. The soul can be heard more easily. Take a small, clean piece of paper. It can be plain, it can be simple. Do not worry about making it perfect. Take a pen. Sit down. Before you write, take 3 slow breaths. Let the day settle. Then ask yourself 2 questions. First, what lie about money has been hurting me lately? Maybe it is, I am always behind. Maybe it is, nothing ever works for me. Maybe it is, I am alone. Maybe it is, I have nothing to give. Maybe it is, I am running out. Do not be afraid to name it. A lie loses some of its power when it is brought into the light. Then ask the second question. What truth do I want to carry instead? Write that truth. Write it as a blessing. Write it in simple words. You might write, I am not without. My Parnassa is in motion. My hands are open to give, and my heart is open to receive. Or, I am held through this season. I receive with gratitude. I give with wisdom. My provision is guided step by step. Or, Shefa flows through my life in the right way. I do not live by fear. I walk with trust, patience, and dignity. Shefa means flow, abundance, divine outpouring. Use the words that feel real to you, not exaggerated, not forced. Real. When you finish writing, hold the paper for a moment. Read it softly. Then fold it 3 times. With the first fold, say, enough. With the second fold, say, open. With the third fold, say, blessed. Place it in your wallet where you will see it.
Not hidden behind old receipts, not buried in a place you never check. Place it where your eyes will meet it. For 3 days, carry it. Every time you open your wallet, pause. Even for 1 second. Look at the paper. Let it remind you. Let it ask you, what story are you choosing right now? And during each of those 3 days, do one small act of tzedakah.
Give something, a coin, a small donation, a meal, a kindness that costs you a little attention. Do it responsibly. Do not harm your obligations. Do not give out of pressure. Give as an act of alignment, because a wallet blessing without open hands becomes only words. But when the words and the hands agree, something in the soul becomes steady. On the evening of the 3rd day, take the paper out. Hold it. Thank God for whatever the 3 days taught you. Maybe they taught you that you are more afraid than you realized. Maybe they taught you that you can pause before reacting. Maybe they taught you that you still have something to give. Maybe they showed you a small door. Maybe they simply helped you breathe. Do not despise small changes. Small changes are often the beginning of mercy. Then write a fresh blessing. New paper, new words if needed. Renew the intention. Fold it again. Enough. Open. Blessed. Place it back in your wallet. You may continue this every 3 days if it brings you peace, or return to it in seasons when money fear becomes loud. There is no pressure. There is only return. Now, wherever you are, if you can, say these words with me, slowly, not as a spell, as a prayer. I am not running out. I am not beyond blessing. The provision that is right for me is in motion. My hands are open. My heart is steady. My wallet carries not only money, but intention. I give with wisdom. I receive with gratitude. My Parnassa is alive, and I walk toward it with faith and dignity. Say it again tonight when you write your blessing. Say it on the 2nd day when fear tries to return. Say it on the 3rd day when you renew the paper. And before I close, I must say this clearly. The paper is not magic. The folding is not a spell. 3 days is not a bargain with heaven. You are not paying for a miracle with a ritual. Anyone who tells you that a simple object guarantees money is not teaching you wisdom. They are taking advantage of your pain. True wisdom does not manipulate fear. It heals it. This practice is not here to replace work, responsibility, planning, honesty, or practical action. It is here to support them. It is here to bring your inner world into alignment with the outer life you are trying to build. It is here to help you stop opening your wallet as if you are opening a wound. It is here to help you open it as a person who is learning. Learning to steward. Learning to give. Learning to receive. Learning to speak words that do not deepen the fear. The power is not in the paper. The power is in the intention you write. The power is in the truth you choose. The power is in the pause you create when fear wants to take over. The power is in the small act of tzedakah that teaches your hand not to close completely. The power is in returning, again and again, to the kind of person you are becoming. A person of dignity, a person of gratitude, a person who can look at their wallet and not only see lack, a person who can carry blessing even in a difficult season. That is the practice. A piece of paper, a few words, 3 days, a small return. If this teaching touched something in you tonight, write these words in the comments. I carry blessing with me. Write it gently. Write it as a seed. Write it as your first written declaration. Not because a comment changes everything, but because sometimes the first step out of an old story is writing a new sentence with your own hand. And if you want to keep walking this quiet path with us, stay close to this channel. Subscribe not as a transaction, but as a way of continuing the learning. Here, we look for ancient wisdom in ordinary things. A wallet, a coin, salt, a piece of paper, a candle, a table, a door, because the old Jewish teachers understood that the Holy One can use the simple things of daily life to bring the heart back to wisdom. And in the next teaching, I want to speak to you about something warm, a candle, a flame. The ancient Jewish understanding of light in the home and how light speaks to places where fear has been sitting too long. The flame does not argue with darkness. It does not shout at darkness. It simply becomes present. And when light becomes present, darkness must step back. That teaching is coming, and it is more gentle than you may expect. Until then, Shalom. May the words you carry bring peace to your heart. May your wallet hold not only provision, but intention. May your hands stay open. May your fear grow quieter. And may your Parnassa come to you in the right way at the right time with wisdom, dignity, and blessing.